Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to clean Doc Martens. I'm going to show you how to clean and maintain a bunch of different types of leather, such as normal smooth leather, there's soft leather, nubuck, greasy leather, patent leather, vegan leather, as well as a bunch of other materials such as canvas, velvet, or suede. There's going to be a bunch of different levels of cleaning in here. It's going to go from maintaining lightly worn Doc Martens all the way to restoring disgusting and completely beat up pairs of Docs. I'm going to put chapters at the bottom to help you sort by what you're looking for, but if you want to watch the whole video and just get an idea for your collection, the tips I'm going to include are how to maintain lightly worn Doc Martens, how to protect a bunch of different kinds of leather from things like water, snow, ice, or salt on the roads, or just everyday wear and scuffs, how to clean and restore beat up Doc Martens, how to remove scuffs or repaint scratches in paint, how to clean out the stains in your Docs, how to take care of sensitive materials such as velvet or suede, how to clean your gross and dirty laces, how to prevent and remove creasing, as well as a bunch of other useful tips and products that you can use on your Docs or really just any shoe in general. First, I'm going to show you all of the materials that I use to clean all these kinds of Doc Martens. You do not need all of these by any means. I have so many of these because I clean like 100 pairs of Doc Martens a month, so it is definitely not necessary to get all this. So I'm just going to go through everything and let you know if I think that you need it or not. So the first thing I'm going to be using is 3 bowls. One has just warm water, one has warm water with soap, and the third is going to be empty for now. Next, I have 3 rags. One of them is going to be a dry rag to dry off Doc Martens. One of them is going to be for polishing, and the third one's going to be a wet rag. I also use this little bristle brush I have. It's actually from Doc Martens. If you don't have this, you can use any old scrub brush for your dishes. I wouldn't recommend cleaning dishes after cleaning your shoes with it, but you know, if you just have an old one, a toothbrush would also work. Again, probably don't want to brush your teeth with it after you clean off shoes. But yeah, anything with a bristle will work. I mean, you can literally get something for like $2 at Walmart. Next, I have my leather conditioners. I really like both of these for different reasons. The leather conditioner is more of a cream and it's easier to apply and is more moisturizing. But then the Doc Martens Wonder Balm is better for buffing out scuffs. I also have these 3 Griffin Boot Care products. I have boot oil, leather cleaner, and water and stain repellent. These are definitely not necessary, but these are just products that I was given by Griffin Boot Care and I think that they are helpful to have. I also have a water and stain repellent from Vans that I use for certain leathers, and then an ultra protector spray from Doc Martens that I use for other types of materials. Another thing I have is shoe freshener. I'm not really sure how I ended up with this, but I use it sometimes to freshen up used shoes. I also have a magic eraser, a Q-tip, and rubbing alcohol. To clean laces, I use dish soap, baking soda, and white vinegar. And then it can also be useful to have a lint roller or a piece of tape for non-leather material Docs. First, I'm going to be showing you how to maintain a pair of black Jaden boots. These are not brand new, they're lightly worn, and as you can see, they have a few marks on the leather, there's some dirt on the soles, and they're not really in bad shape at all, but I want to show you how to prevent them from getting damaged. First, you want to unlace them, because you want to get underneath the tongue too, because the laces can really like degrade the leather under there, so you want to make sure you're cleaning there and protecting there just like the parts of the shoe that you can see. Then you're going to get your wet rag with warm water and you're just going to rub it all over the boots lightly and just remove any dust particles that are there and just get a real quick surface level clean. If there's some light dust on your stitches, you can wipe it off with the rag too, but if you really want to deep clean them, this is where I'll take my little brush or your toothbrush or whatever you're using, dip it in the warm soapy water, and then just scrub in between those laces and get all of that dirt and gunk out of there. You can also use this on any parts of the shoe that need a little bit extra attention, like for example up in between the tongue where the shoelaces are might need some extra help, or maybe on the tag of the boots or anything like that. And then I'm quickly going to wipe it off because I don't want the soap to sit there too long because I don't want to harm the leather. And then after I wipe off all the soap, I'm going to just dry it off with a towel. Here I'm using the Doc Martens Wonder Balm to protect the shoes and seal them to make them a little bit more waterproof and less susceptible to scuffs. If you have light scuffs on your shoes already, this is a good time to buff them out using this Wonder Balm. You want to apply it evenly over the entire shoe, so I usually like to apply a little bit at the toe and then like slowly blend it into the rest of the shoe and then use circular motions to blend it in without leaving any residue on top. After I let them dry, I lace them up and they look a lot better. Doing these things can keep your Docs lasting a lot longer than they would if you never took care of them or protected them at all. Next, I'm showing you how to take care of softer leather, as well as how to remove little paint stains and scuffs. So for these pascals, I'm also going to start with just wiping them off with a wet rag and then using the bristle brush to scrub in between the stitches. These ones have some dirt in the actual leather, so I'm also going to use the same brush to lightly scrub out the dirt. Now on these shoes I did this mostly on the toe because that's where most of the dirt was at. And then I also did it up in between the tongue of the shoe because I noticed there was a lot of residue there from the laces. And then again, I'm quick to wipe off all of the soap with a wet rag and then dry these off. And then as you can see, there's a little paint speck on there. So I basically just took some rubbing alcohol, put it into the cap of the container, and then dipped a Q-tip in there and used that to just lightly rub off the paint. You don't want to push too hard because it can remove the coloring of the leather. So as you can see, I'm kind of just lightly tapping it until it is removed. There was also some paint like on the soles of the shoe, so I took a magic eraser with just water on it and scrubbed that off. Then I made sure to wipe all that water off as well as the rubbing alcohol. And you really only want to use the rubbing alcohol if it's a stain that the magic eraser won't get rid of, because it can damage your leather and wear it down. And so these shoes are a little bit flimsy just because of the softer leather, and I want to prevent these from getting too creased or bent out of shape. So whenever I know that I'm not going to be wearing these for a while, I'm just going to grab some packing paper, or you can also use newspaper, tissue paper, even just regular old printer paper works. And you're going to roll it up and then stick it into the toes until it looks like the creases are going away. And then you're going to do the same thing for the actual shaft of the shoe. So that way when they're sitting there not being used for a few days, they can kind of regain their shape. And then whenever you go to use them next time, they will not have as much creases or be bent out of shape. And all shoes are going to crease eventually. There's no way to just completely prevent that, but if you do this whenever you know you're not going to be wearing them for a little while, then it will help improve the stiffness of the leather and make sure that they don't get too creased. So next, I'm cleaning up this beat up pair of really dirty Docs that I have. As you can see, these are covered in dirt and the laces are just nasty. So the first thing I'm going to do is remove the laces, and I'm going to put them in that other little bowl we talked about earlier, and I'm going to put some dish soap on it, some baking soda, and then put vinegar on top. This part's actually really fun. It's like a little science experiment because it fizzles up and stuff, but it helps it get a deeper clean when you do this. Then I'll just dump some warm water on top and then just mix it around and make sure that the laces really soak up everything. And then I'll just set it to the side while I clean off the Docs. You want to have this sitting for like 10 to 15 minutes, so that's why I like to put them in before I clean the Docs, so then by the time I'm done cleaning, they'll be ready to be put back in. So I'm going to start again by just using a wet cloth to wipe off any of the excess dirt that I can, just to get a very bare minimum surface level clean. And then I'm getting my bristle brush again with soap, and then I'm going to scrub with the stitching like I did before, but this time I'm going to scrub pretty much just all over the shoe because these things, like, they need a deep clean. They are nasty. And you can really just do this all over the entire shoe. I mean, you can do it on the toes, you can do it in between where the laces go on the tongue of the shoe, you can do it on the little eyelet parts, you can even do it on the bottoms if they really need it, which these ones did. So I'm again just going to wipe off all the soap with a wet rag and then dry them off. And as you can see, just from scrubbing them and using soapy water, there's a huge difference. So then I did that to the other shoe, and now I'm going to apply some leather cleaner. I don't always do this on every pair, but because this pair had so much dirt just baked into it, I'm going to apply this and just kind of strip off all that dirt and just get that out of there. I apply this the same way as I apply a conditioner, just kind of evenly spread it through everywhere and just work it into the shoe as well as you can. And next I'm applying leather conditioner the same way as I did for the other two shoes, but I am going to focus a little bit more on the toes because there are some scuffs on there, and this will help get those out a little bit and prevent more scuffs from happening in the future. So at this point, the laces are done marinating. You're going to want to squeeze all of that nasty water out of them and then either put them in a bowl of warm water or just run them through a sink. Obviously I was filming this outside, so I didn't really have a sink, but I think that's probably more preferred. It's going to take a little bit to just squeeze everything out of there, and you can see how nasty this water is. Like, those laces needed to be cleaned ages ago. To dry them, it's probably best to air dry them or maybe even use a hair dryer if you want. But for the sake of this video, I was just putting them in this little towel and then scrunching them up, so that way I wouldn't have to wait a while to show you the results. But after this, I'm just going to go back and let them air dry before I get these ready to sell. And so yeah, here's the finished result. I think it looks 1,000 times better, and these are ready to be worn. Next is the Joyce Wingtip 1461s, which is such a cute pair. I love the little heart details on these. But as you can see, they have a lot of scuffing and dirt all over them, and I'm not trying to have that on there. So first I'm gonna again start with just a wet rag to get as much of the dirt off the stitching and off the leather as much as possible. And then I'm gonna use the same rag but with soapy water on it, and then just use the rag to scrub off. And luckily a lot of the dirt and scuffs came off with just the rag already, but there was still some spots that needed to be taken care of, especially where the laces sit. So I took a magic eraser and I scrubbed in between where the laces are and any of those other scuffs around the shoes. The ones on the tongue specifically were leaving a lot of marks behind, so I actually ended up taking some rubbing alcohol and putting it on the magic eraser and just lightly scrubbing on there. You don't want to scrub too hard because this will definitely take the paint off if you sit there and scrub it for a long time, but if you just lightly scrub, it will remove most scuffs. So after I did all this, I realized that there was some paint missing from the shoes, and unfortunately, as much as you buff, you can't really make white paint appear out of thin air, so I decided to take some white leather paint and touch up the toes. There was also still some marks left where the laces sit, but I didn't really care about that as much because it's going to be hidden most of the time, so I didn't really think it mattered. But on the toe of the shoe, the scuff was pretty obvious, even though it was minor, so I wanted to make sure that was patched up. So basically, this white leather paint is like a little nail polish bottle with a tiny brush on it, and I kind of just lightly tapped onto the scuff, and then I let it sit and air dry for a little bit, and then after it's dry, I usually end up adding another coat of paint just to be safe and make sure that it doesn't come off. And then after that coat dries, I'll go over with the usual Wonder Balm or leather conditioner and seal the rest of the shoes, as well as cover up the paint so that doesn't come off later. This is usually pretty effective, and it's a lot easier for black or white shoes to match the color of the paint, but it's definitely possible to find a different color if you look online. So yeah, these look 1,000 times better, and they're definitely ready to be sold once I put the laces in them. Might need to buy those. So now I have some patent leather on these 1461 rainbow quads. These aren't too bad, they just have some light dust on them and then a scuff on the back. So I'm just gonna use some soapy water to get rid of that. So I'm just wiping them off with water like I usually do, and then using the little bristle brush to scrub off as much of that scuff as possible. And for this pair, it actually came off, but if you can't get yours to come off with just the soapy water, I would definitely just use a magic eraser. I would not use rubbing alcohol for this one because it can get rid of the shininess of the leather, but a normal magic eraser should do the trick. And then after, I'm just spraying it with this patent leather protector that I have. They also do make patent leather conditioner, but the spray works fine too. The next pair I have are these white canvas combs boots. And these are actually in pretty good condition, but they do have a pretty big dirt stain on the front, and I'm just going to use the soapy water brush to get rid of that. Their canvas material is usually pretty tough, so I'm not that worried about scrubbing too hard on this, and it made the stain come out pretty fast. There's also a tiny little scuff on the toe, so I used a magic eraser to get rid of that. For this pair, I'm also going to use the protectant spray, and the way you want to use this is to hold it about 6 to 10 inches away from the shoe and then spray it a little bit at a time so that way it kind of mists on there. You don't want it to be super close where there's spray marks all over the place because then it can lead to little water marks on your shoes. But if you kind of let the mist slowly hit it from all sides of the shoe, then it'll prevent that from happening while still protecting your shoes. These weren't that bad to begin with, but I think they look a lot better now that I got rid of that nasty dirt stain on the toe. So next I have a velvet pair. These are the Agnes Den Creepers. They aren't terrible, but they do have some dirt on them and a lot of lint that needs to be getting rid of. So I'm going to use the wet towel on just the stitching because that's where the rubber soles are. And then for the actual velvet part of them that has marks that need to be removed, I'm going to very lightly try to wipe that off. And any spots that don't come off then, I will actually use the bristle brush with only water, no soap, and just super lightly try to scrub off those stains. You don't want to push too hard on these or really even use like soap or anything because it can damage the velvet, and after it dries it might not go back to looking how it should. And then to get rid of any lint or pet hair that may be on your shoes, literally going to use a lint roller on them. I feel like people don't usually think to use it on shoes, but it works just as well as on clothes. And if you don't have a lint roller, or if there's spots that you can't really reach as well, you can actually just roll up a piece of Scotch tape or even packing tape around your fingers and then use that to kind of dot onto the shoes and get rid of any tough spots. I don't really like using the tape as much because it takes a lot longer and get stuck to my fingers apparently. I forgot to show it in the video, but you can use the protectant spray on this as well. And yeah, these look a lot cleaner now, and getting rid of all that pet hair or lint that might be on there makes them return to their normal black color instead of more of a gray color. So the last pair I'm going to show you how to clean is the Lazy Oaf suede boots. And so as you can see, these have quite a bit of dirt and marks on them. And I just want to show you how to carefully remove all those marks off of suede. So I'm going to start again by using the wet rag to wipe everything off. I'm going to go harder on the stitches, but then not as hard when I'm actually wiping off the suede, because when it dries, I want it to look how it's supposed to. So this time I'm using the bristle brush with soapy water, and I'm going to again lightly scrub on any marks that there might be. So here we had them on the toe, we had them by the buckles and on the straps, and then as soon as I scrub every little part, I'm going to instantly wipe it off with a wet rag just to make sure that no soap is sitting there and damaging that suede. And then these ones were a little bit out of shape, so I also rolled up the packing paper in them again and stuffed it in there to prevent them from getting bent out of shape or creasing. And for these ones, I also applied the Doc Martens Ultra Protector Spray to protect these from getting water stains or from getting more scuffs in the future as much as possible. And yeah, these look a lot better now, and they're protected for the future. Also, can we just appreciate how gorgeous of a shoe this is? I mean, look at those gorgeous heart buckles, and the little pink hearts on the back are so cute. Well, thank you guys so much for watching, and I really hope that my tips helped you know how to clean your Doc Martens. If you have a more specific question, or you think there's something else that I need to cover, then please feel free to ask in the comments. Or if there's another way that you clean your Doc Martens that you think would be helpful for people to know, you can also comment that, because I'm always looking for new and unique ways to clean shoes that are easy, cheap, and effective. If you're looking for other Doc Marten tips like how to break in your Doc Martens, how to style Doc Martens, and other stuff like that, then check out my channel. I have a bunch of videos like that. One video that I think you'd be interested in if you're a new Doc Marten owner is my video where I try a bunch of wrong ways to break in Doc Martens, which was very interesting. So maybe check that out if you want. And if you're looking to buy an affordable pair of cool, unique secondhand Docs, or even just like a pair that's almost brand new but for like way less than retail price, then you should check out my Instagram and my website where I sell secondhand Doc Martens. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.